We wanted to know the civic contributions trams have had on the social and geographic fabric of Melbourne, so we
carried out research,
wrote emails, visited museums,
conducted fieldwork, and spoke to experts.
And this is what we found out.
When the British officers settled in Tasmania's penal colonies, they used convicts to push officers in trams. During settlement in South Australia, Victoria, Queensland and New South Wales, horse-drawn trams using rails were established. Most Australian tram towns and cities adopted the steam tram, except Melbourne, who went from horse-drawn to cable trams and subsequently to electric trams. In Sydney and other states, poor financial management and lack of monetary reserves led to the tram systems being dismantled. Today, only Melbourne uses trams as an extensive public transport system.
We also go back to the fact that Melbourne was extremely wealthy with the gold. Gold made everything happen. You know, the big city buildings. So Melbourne had the first skyscraper over 10 stories, and that was a hydraulically operated lift in that building. And that hadn't happened anywhere else in the world. Melbourne, because of the gold, got these sort of innovations.
The Manchester Unity building at the corner of Collins Street and Swanston Street, that was Australia's tallest building until the 1940s, and that was built in the 1920s.
This city was very much built on gold. It's called Marvellous Melbourne. It was, I think, the 10th biggest city in the world in terms of area by 1900. From nothing in 70 years, it was one of the big cities of the world.
And of course, you've got to think in those days, Melbourne, Sydney might be older, but Melbourne was the capital of the country until 1927. So we had government departments here, we had a lot of interest. We even had the 1880s Great Exhibition. The Great Exhibition building was built.
Cable trams all went around to Luna Park and everything. You see, that was not the cable tram.
It's like the American Coney Island idea. You might have read about that. And that was our equivalent of Coney Island down there in St Kilda.
It's Luna Park centenary next year, 100 years since Luna Park was open.
The geographic boundaries of Melbourne have extended frequently since settlement. In 1842, Melbourne was confined to little more than the formal square mile demarcating the town and Port Phillip district of New South Wales. Now it extends up to 70 kilometres from this square mile to Portsea in the south and includes places as far afield as Hastings, Cranbourne, Healesville, Eltham, Whittlesea, Melton, and Werribee. The changes in population can be attributed to births, death, migration, and the incorporation of new areas to the city. This map shows the extent of the Melbourne tram system past and present. As the city grew, so did the need for a tram system that accessed the near suburbs.
In about 1888. And what has occurred is that the cable tram network was converted to electric traction mainly. They then built extensions from the ends of those further out. I mean, everything we've done has been basically an extension.
So the cable tram out. But the Baltic government at the time, 1956, said, oh, no more trams, Melbourne's going to get rid of the trams by 1960. And this is where Risen got involved and said, oh, over my dead body. And the press at the time sided with Baltic. Just how Risen, I still don't know to this day, just how Risen was able to fight the government and fight the press, but he did. But it did mean, we did have this period of no new trams.
In 1950, the chairman of the Tramway Board, John Risson, started the push for a reduction in staffing costs by changing trams from 2 people to a 1-person operation. This led to major industrial disputes. The unresolved running cost issue came to the forefront of Melbourne's politics in 1990, with a tram strike by the unions creating a month-long blockade in Swanston Street in the heart of Melbourne. In 1992, Premier Jeff Kennett privatised the tramway system and removed conductors from trams. Ticketing machines were introduced and proved highly unpopular.
To get an idea of how vital public transport is to students at Deakin University, we split into 2 groups to conduct some field work. One group counted the number of people getting off the 70 and 75 trams in front of Deakin at 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. And the other group surveyed a number of the passengers with a survey we prepared with questions we thought were critical. We found the main reasons for choosing to catch the tram were affordability, convenience, reducing their carbon footprint, and our final conclusion was that trams play a significant role in reducing the carbon footprint of students travelling to Deakin which is in line with Deacon's Green Commute program that rewards students for travelling more sustainably. We also established that it's the most convenient and affordable option to students who are usually strapped for cash.
In the 1900s, trams were introduced to Brighton, Sandringham, Beaumaris and Blackrock to entice people away from the growing congestion of the CBD and surrounding suburbs. Once a holiday destination, settlers were tempted to build a residence in the area with promises of free railway tickets for a year and growing tram service. Wide streets were built especially to accommodate the tramways. The Depression hit the seaside resort hard, and as a result of high fares, lack of maintenance and heavy traffic, the tram service began to decline. After lengthy debate, the Beaumaris tram service was unfortunately discontinued in 1931 and replaced with buses.
At the Melbourne Tramways Museum, we spoke with curator Norm Maddock about the important role trams play in building a socially cohesive society. The museum housed many items of civic importance, including photographs of tram processions marking significant occasions for Australians. Norm inspired our group with his tram stories as a retired tram employee and museum volunteer for more than 40 years. Norm aims to educate museum visitors about the importance of trams in Melbourne, not only as a form of transport, but as part of the fabric of our society.
Melbourne.
Well, the situation is people have changed. People had a commitment to the industry, a commitment to the public, in the fact of that they were there to serve the people. The people respected tram drivers and conductors, both sides have lost respect for one another. And the situation of the commitment now is not there what used to be there, and it's the changing circumstances of what happens in society of today.
As Victorian citizens, we have the right to a safe and reliable tram service. When using Melbourne's public tram network, it is your responsibility to have a valid ticket, marquee or change accessible. It is your responsibility to know what zones you will be crossing during your travel and your status as the traveller, for example, concession or full fare. If you fail to purchase a ticket or not provide a concession card, you have committed an offence under the Transport Act 1983. It is therefore the authority's right to issue you with a fine. It is courteous to offer your seat to the elderly, pregnant and mobilely impaired.
Of course, people have seen the bumblebee trams around the city, and our tram network is improving and growing all the time, and as a local member, I think the advocacy that I'm involved with contributes to that, and in that way I can represent people in my community.
Trams have played a critical role in Melbourne's human geography, enabling people to travel further than they previously had before, settle further outside the city and access a convenient and affordable mode of transport. The question is, what's in store for the future of Melbourne's tram network? Whilst there doesn't seem to be any movement by governments to extend or create new routes, there is strong investment in new trams, improving accessibility, easing congestion and improving reliability. This is also reflective of modern Melbourne's population growth and higher density inner city living. More recently, the Liberal government, in response to community outrage, will now preserve Melbourne's iconic W-class trams. These trams were introduced in the 1920s and there are over 150 in storage, simply rotting away. So it seems that whilst the network isn't expanding, trams will continue to play a pivotal role in Melbourne's civic and urban landscape.
On the whole, Melbourne is a tram city and will always remain that way.
Okay, it's recording now.